Hey everybody, and welcome to a Parallel Wendy Adams deck theory crafting video. On my recent stream, I, along with chat, theory crafted 3 decks for the new Parallel Wendy Adams Investigator. So today we're going to dive in. We're going to look at the new Parallel Investigator, we're going to look at her cards, and then we're going to kind of look through the decks and kind of talk about what myself and my viewers on my Friday stream thought Wendy Adams could be. So let's dive in and start by looking at her card. So 4314, I believe the stat line is the same. I could be absolutely crazy there, but I'm pretty sure it is. She is Drifter, she's blessed, and she's also cursed. She has the text, add title Memento to your deck, which we're going to get to in a second. After you successfully evade a non-elite enemy, as a reaction, seal either one blessed or one cursed token from the Chaos bag, or any blessed or cursed tokens revealed from the Chaos bag during this test on that enemy. So Wendy Adams is pretty cool. She works with the blessed and cursed cards. That's like her whole thing, and she uses the entire package, as we'll see once we get to her deck building options. Her Elder Sign effect is +2. Search the Chaos bag for up to 2 blessed and or cursed tokens and reveal them, ignoring their effects. I am pretty sure that this has synergy with specifically things that care about like sealing blessed tokens, or like when they're like from a test, or like something like Nethys, or maybe Blessing of Isis. And then there's also the cursed cards. I think that also has an effect there. But I don't really know exactly. My brain can't fully comprehend and wrap my mind around that until I play it. That's kind of like what her Elder Sign is. Title Memento is the asset that you have in play. It's Wendy Adams deck only, and it's permanent. When an enemy would ready or doom would be placed on it, release a blessed or cursed token sealed on that enemy and cancel that effect. So whenever you evade an enemy, you can seal a token on that enemy, and this acts twofold. The first effect is, as we can see right here, it cancels doom being placed on that enemy, so you can evade, like, say, an Acolyte, and then if there is the encounter card that places doom on that Acolyte, you can be like, no, I don't think we will. The other thing it does is it can kind of like freeze enemies, so to speak. It is sort of like pausing an enemy removal, and you can be like, you're going to be evaded for 2 turns as opposed to just 1 turn, which makes evading kind of nice. So this Wendy Adams is obviously going to care about evading, because it is the way we will get tokens on enemies. But in addition, the title Memento also has some really awesome text that really works with these enemies, which is during a skill test you are performing, when a Chaos token would be revealed from the Chaos bag, you resolve a blessed or a cursed token sealed on that enemy instead. Which means you basically have like a make your own favor of the sun and make your own favor of the moon. This enables even more benefits of drawing the tokens that you need when you need them, and I think is like the core identity of what's really going to make this Wendy Adams deck work. Looking at her deck size, it's 30. However, at deck creation, she chooses blessed or cursed, but she can also choose both to gain +5 deck size, making her total possible deck size being 35. Spicy. Her deck building options are survival cards, level 0 to 5, neutral 0 to 5, and 5, and then cards of your chosen traits, or traits, 0 to 5. So she can use blessed cards, she can use cursed cards, or she can use blessed and cursed cards for a deck size of 35. We're going to get to the deck lists in a second, or at least the first of 3 deck lists. But first, let's look at the Advanced Wendy's Amulet and the Advanced Abandoned and Alone. So the new amulet is pretty sick. You may play any event in your discard pile as if it was in your hand. This turns your discard pile into a second hand for your events that you have played. After you play an event or discard an event from play, you place it on the bottom of your deck instead of in your discard pile. So it makes it so that like you don't want to play Wendy's Amulet first, because then you can't get good value out of it. But I still think it's important to find, as we're going to see in the deck list that we have coming up here. We also have Abandoned and Alone. So the advanced one is remove all non-weakness cards in your discard pile from the game. If no cards were removed by this effect, shuffle this card back into your deck. Otherwise, take 3 horror. So, 3 direct horror. So that is pretty spooky. It will eat your cards like the other one, and it just deals you 3 direct horror. Spooky, but if you build a plan for it, you can probably survive and get out of it okay. But you just always have to be aware of it, and unlike me, who kind of made the mistake of living at 2 horror on Wendy, you now never want to live at 3 horror on Wendy if you have not seen your Abandoned and Alone, because it's just going to absolutely nuke you. However, if you have Abandoned and Alone in your discard pile, you can, when you have Wendy's Amulet out, you can effectively never draw Abandoned and Alone again. Because whenever you play an event or discard an event from play, you place it on the bottom of your deck instead of in your discard pile. So at a certain point, you could feasibly get through your deck and then just start seeing the events that you want to see and then just stack them again. Kind of spicy. Kind of spicy. All right, we're going to move on to the cursed deck first. So we're going to look at the individual cards that are notable coming up, but just like the basic game plan for this one, this is clues, and your ability is your focus. So you're going to be grabbing clues, and when you're not grabbing clues, you're going to be evading the enemies that you don't want to deal with, and you are going to be sealing those enemies. You're going to be sealing tokens on those enemies. You're going to use Favor of the Moon, or even just tokens on other enemies that you are on a location you don't need to go back to lock those enemies away. Unless you do crazy things, there's not really or not crazy things, just more abstract and less straightforward things. Fighting is still not Wendy Adams' strong suit. She just can't really fight. She has 1 fist, so evading is what she wants, and her sealing is essentially some removal there as well. You could run Armageddon. We're choosing not to run Armageddon. We are going hard on the clue getting, so let's keep this going. Here are things that help with her evading. So Shroud of Shadows, you get to evade and use your brain instead of your foot. It will be lower. However, you could use this for other enemies, and if a curse token is revealed, not only do you get to put that curse token on that enemy that you're evading, but you also get to move to an adjacent space. And action compression is really nice in this deck because we don't have access to things, the green pool that we did like Leo DeLuca that normal Wendy Adams has. Track Shoes gives you +1 foot, which as I said is kind of our goal here. We do want to be evading. And it also allows for free movement a turn. You have to do a foot test to get there, but you will be testing with at least 5. So on standard, up 2 is where you want to be. And you could potentially just get some free movement out of it, which is why Track Shoes is particularly really nice. Then we got Peter Sylvester, big man on campus. This guy does 3 things. He pumps up your foot, which is good because you want to be evading. He pumps up your brain, which is good because you're going to be using your brain for Shroud of Shadows and Eye of Chaos. And he also gives you a horror soak, which is good because you don't want to hit 3. So as soon as you hit 4 horror, you want to be putting 4 horror remaining. You now want to be putting as much as your horror as you can on good old Pete Sylvester. Up next here is we got the investigating package. So you will see that there's some more curse synergy in here, but right now we're just stripping that down and looking at just what we investigate with. So apart from you can take a book action, you do have 3, so it's not a terrible number. But Stirring Up Trouble adds curse tokens, which you're going to want to put into your deck. Into the token cup, and then you just discover 2 clues at your location. So not only are you improving your curse game plan, you're also grabbing clues in the process. We have Look What I Found too. I love this card in a survivor deck, even if you're not heavy on clue getting. If you're playing 2 players, Look What I Found always pulls its weight, and I think it's still just as applicable here. And also one thing to remember about these 2 cards, Stirring Up Trouble and Look What I Found, they are events, so you can play them again with your amulet in play. That is extra juicy. Skeleton Key is an item, which is going to matter for the backpack we have in our deck. In addition, it puts a Shroud to 1, which means your 3 book can more likely succeed. I think that this is the best word is a fun choice. I think it's still strong and still very good. But it's not necessary to make the deck work. But when we were theory crafting, me and the audience, we thought Skeleton Key fit really nice. And then we have Eye of Chaos, which when you grab clues from enemies, curse tokens from enemies, you are able to take advantage of that and discover more clues. Because that's the real power here. You can grab curse tokens when you want after evading enemies or on your favor of the moon. Here's our curse package. So the Eye of Djinn here is basically just for the extra action because we're not going to have many blessed tokens in the bag. We are going to have access to a few, as we're going to see coming up in the future. But it's mostly there for the extra action. Favor of the Moon, curses on command is important, and extra resources is nice. Blasphemous Covenant is key here. You're going to be drawing a lot of curse tokens, and turning a curse token into a +1 and then returning it is crucial. Blasphemous Covenant is key to making sure your cursed deck works. In my opinion, and all the times I've played my cursed decks, Blasphemous Covenant was my MVP. One thing to remember is that everyone else is going to have an awful time. So this is something that you want to bring to your group if you're going to play Cursed Wendy Adams, which, in my opinion, is the strongest of the 3 decks that we have theory crafted today, just because the cursed cards are so strong. You do want to tell other people that you're doing this so that they can maybe say, hey, I think I also want to run an Investigator who can run Blasphemous Covenant, because otherwise, it's going to suck. Deep Knowledge adds curse tokens, draws cards, you can play it again. Faustian Bargain adds curse tokens, gives you resources, you can play it again. And then we have Fey and Promise of Power, which are really spicy here. Fey especially, because when you can draw tokens on at will, it's then returns to your hand, and you basically have an endless super guts or just an endless unexpected courage. And there's not much to say about Promise of Power, other than you don't want to play it if you take 2 horror, because horror is kind of as a premium for Wendy Adams. Some good cards, Backpack 2. This is to find the Wendy's Amulet, and you can hold it in the backpack until you need it. And then it also finds the Skeleton Key and the track shoes as well. So that's... Backpack is going to be in all of these decks, because finding the amulet and having the amulet for when you want to play it is very important, I think, to really get full value from this Wendy Adams deck. Next up, we got Lucky. I tried to build these with like a smaller, I tried to not go above 39 experience for each of these decks. I think this one's hovering around like 30-ish. And this could be a Lucky 3, but just for that, for this deck, I did the Lucky 0. Once again, you can play this from your discard pile when you have the amulet out. Call for Backup, I think, is particularly spicy in this deck. So baseline, you have yellow and red, which is heal a damage from any card and get a clue. To me, the discovering a clue is like the key, most important part of this card, right? Because then it's just like, it's like a working a hunch, but not fast, and I think cheaper, right? But as soon as you also have, in your access, you also have access to green and purple, which gives you movement, and then also healing horror. And it's very easy to get those things out because they are all assets in your deck. They are assets that you will have, they're assets you control, they're assets that you want to play, and you can play Call for Backup twice once your amulet is in play. That seems pretty cool. And then the last notable card here we have is Tempt Fate. Just adds curse tokens and blessed tokens to the bag. It replaces itself, and if you play it from your discard pile, let's go. Just more of a good thing. So yeah, this is the cursed version of the deck. As I said, I think this one is the most successful, and I think it has the game plan that is easiest to hit the ground and start running with, because you hit any of your spells, you hit your Eye of Chaos, you're good to go. You get your Skeleton Key, you're good to go, right? You get your Pedal Sylvester out, you can at least start evading enemies and helping in that way. You grab your Look What I Found, you can start investigating. Your Stirring Up Trouble is also huge. Your Deep Knowledge helps you draw cards if you are missing them. I think this deck is just really good, and I think it's just really strong. But the thing you need to stress to your other players, I think, is, and my chat said this, they brought this up, I enjoy watching the other players suffer if I'm playing a curse strategy, but they said the other players are going to have a bad time, and it is the absolute truth. So if you're going to play this deck, tell the other players at the table so they can also build a curse deck when the time comes. Okay, next up is, this is the Blessed deck. So this is the all Blessed deck, and the focus is Again, built for primarily clue getting. However, this one is much more flex than the other one. This is the one that I feel like is kind of like the weakest of the bunch. But that's just because a lot of blessed cards... I mean, Ancient Covenant is really good. But let's just go in and start talking about the notable cards here. And then I'll get back and round out everything we did not talk about. So again, evading is key in this deck, but so is clooving. And also, you will have ways to deal with monsters. Not great ways, but like your evading is, as I said earlier, another way that you could deal with monsters and say like sayonara for a few turns. So the Blessed package, we have Holy Rosary. So Holy Rosary 2 is key in this deck. You get +1 Brain, which puts you to 5. And after you succeed a Brain test on a Treachery, exhaust Holy Rosary and add 2 Blessed tokens to the Chaos bag. This is our primary way of getting Blessed tokens into the cup. The only downside of this one is that it's not reliable. You can't always get a Brain test on a Treachery. However, when you do, you can easily turn this into Blessed tokens, which then will get more Blessed tokens, and then you're like, I'm doing great. One thing we considered was Spirit of Humanity, but I think you don't really want to add curse tokens into this deck. Like, you could, but I think it's better to just focus on trying to get Blessed tokens where you can as much as possible. So Favor of the Sun is also going to help with that. Allows you to draw your Blessed tokens with the Ancient Covenant in the bottom left. Treating those Blessed tokens as just a +2, which means you're passing tests like nobody's business. One thing to remember is that... Sorry, I'm gonna ahead of myself. Let's talk to Nethys first. So Nethys, she gives you +1 Brain, and when one or more Blessed tokens be removed from the Chaos bag during a skill test, you seal them on Nethys instead. And then you can exhaust them to either release 3 tokens or return 3 tokens to the token pool to deal 2 damage to an enemy or location. This is what I was talking about, like, this is one of your methods of unreliable damage, but when you can get it going and you can just deal 2 to something, you'll be helping enough for your role that you'll be able to get the job done. Ancient Covenant is huge, and as I said, I'm going to just go over again. This is the Covenant you want for this deck. I think I like it more than the whatever the blue one's called, the blue Covenant, just because passing a test is better than not passing a test. We got a Watchful Piece, which is kind of like, it's a one-of in the deck, and it's mostly here to... as like an ultimate payoff. You yourself, as Wendy Adams, when you get everything out, you have 6, maybe 7 Brain, so you're not too scared of the Mythos phase. Other players might be, and even if you're not too scared, sometimes you just want to keep the game going, and a skip Mythos phase is like always good. It's always good. You do need 5 Blessed tokens, so these tokens can come from, notably, Favor of the Sun, they can come from Nethys, and they can also come from enemies that you've sealed them on. The title Memento, if we just go back to it over here, it's not forced. So you could just leave that Blessed token on an enemy that you know you're not going to kill, and then just use that token off that enemy for a Watchful Piece, which kind of sounds a little bit sneaky. The last thing we got here is Keep Faith. This is like not the best card, but I do think it works well enough in this deck. 2 resources, and you can add 4 Blessed tokens to the Chaos bag, and when you have your Amulet out, you can play it twice. Here is our clue getting package. So we have the Newspaper level 2. This one is here because you are the flex. You're not the primary clue getter with this deck. You would need to make some changes to become the primary clue getter. But Newspaper is like very juicy for a flex investigator. Just every time, every act, you get to discover additional clues is nice. In addition, if there's ever a campaign or a scenario where clues are constantly spent, like just Midnight Masks in the base game, this becomes even better in its value. Old Keyring is going to help you get clues, and look what I found too is just as strong as it was in the first deck. And then we got Sharp Vision, which is a way to get even more clues if you do basic Investigate. It's going to put you up to 6, which is a great number, and you can use your Ancient Covenant to ensure that it gets the job done. The Resourceful is here specifically for the Sharp Vision. This doesn't mean you don't use it on other cards. However, it is beneficial and best used on the Sharp Vision, in my opinion, in this deck. Radiant Smite is another way to deal with enemies. Your brain's going to be really high, so killing enemies with Radiant Smite is good. Ward of Radiance can help you in the Mythos phase. You're going to probably... Like, the math on hitting this one is actually pretty good, even with, like, 1 or 2 blessed tokens in the bags, to the point where it's, like, worth running, even like, if you're, like, just going to take a shot in the dark. However, if you have a brain test, you're going to want to do the brain test to get the blessed tokens in. And Unrelenting is here because the card is good, and drawing cards is also really good. And it's better to draw the cards and pass than it is to fail to draw the cards. This is my own theory. You don't need to... this could be a Take Heart if you prefer Take Heart, but I prefer Unrelenting to Take Heart. That's just me. Back to the deck. As you can see as well with the Wendy's Amulet, after you play an event or discard an event from play, place it on the bottom of your deck. This works really well even more with the Resourceful and the Sharp Vision, because once Wendy's Amulet is out, you can use that to just continually, your Resourceful and Sharp Vision, they're like peas in a pod. They're so happy to be together, and Sharp Vision is really good for a Flex Clover. I mean, it's good for a regular Clover, but for a Flex Clover, you're going to be getting good impact on the game playing that card, especially if you can play it 4 times. As I said, this deck is kind of Flex. Clooving is the thing that it does better, but it can also deal with enemies through Nethys, Radiant Smite, and also, most importantly, it's Wendy's ability in combination with the title Memento. She can deal with enemies in both ways, so it's very possible to take advantage of that, even as a Flex Investigator. Some cards I did not mention in the going through the deck list here. Backpack, once again, is here to grab the Amulet, but also grabbing the Holy Rosaries. It grabs the newspaper, the key ring, it grabs the track shoes, which are here again. The one of track shoes is in every deck. I think it's just really, it's a good card, and I think it works really well with Wendy Adams' game plan. The Relic Hunter is here to play an additional Rosary or the Rosary and the Amulet, but having 2 Rosaries out can be really juicy, and then when you're ready, you can play your Amulet to get rid of one of the Rosaries and just start going absolutely nutters with all the events in your discard pile. Actually sounds like pretty sick. In addition, we also have a Lucky doing its job, and a Tempt Fate again. The Curse tokens kind of suck, but the Blessed tokens are kind of great in this deck, so it's ran here. Coming up to the Blurst deck. So this is the Cursed and the Blessed deck together, all the cards, and it's kind of doing a bit of everything. So I'll talk about some notable cards, and then we'll just kind of run through the deck to see anything that I may have missed. Here is the Paradoxical part. So the Paradoxical Covenant is the Covenant we're running in this deck, and that should be no surprise. After an Investigator location performs the Reveal Chaos token step of a skill test, if both a Blessed and a Cursed token are revealed during that test, exhaust Paradoxical Covenant. This test automatically succeeds. Wow. It's just like, let's go. This is especially nice because you can seal these tokens on enemies. So you always have a place that you can keep these tokens on standby, in addition to the Favor of the Sun and the Favor of the Moon that exist in this deck. Rite of Equilibrium is add X tokens to the Chaos bag. We'll add X Curse tokens to the Chaos bag to add X Blessed tokens to the Chaos bag. And that number is pretty much all in. Get as many of each as you can in the cup as you could by paying the X. So just go for it. If you have 10 Curse tokens and you have 10 Blessed tokens, put in 10 Curse tokens, put in 10 Blessed tokens, and just have the train leave the station and just never stop drawing your Cursed and your Blessed tokens. It sounds like a great time. You also could use this to heal, but this is not there for that. This is to load up the deck to get everything online. Spirit of Humanity is there to further add Blessed and Cursed tokens. One action. So one turn you can use it to take 2 damage in a horror, to add 2 Blessed tokens. Next turn you can heal that damage in a horror to add 2 Cursed tokens. Both results are good, and I think it's a very important card in this deck. And yes, Tempt Fate made it here again. 3 Blessed, 3 Cursed tokens is especially good, even especially in the Blurst version of the deck. Some more cards to help with our Blurst stuff. We got Eye of Djinn. This is here again. And this one, you can actually use both of them. You can use both sides of it. So you could use this to fight. You could use this to fight. This is actually when I was talking about how you can be a little bit tricksy. with the Eye of Djinn. But you can also use it for other things as well, and you can get additional actions out of it, and you can also use this to take an action, automatically succeed that action with Favor of the Moon, Favor of the Sun, tokens that you grab from other places, or hell, even just luck. And then you get an additional action, which you can use Eye of Djinn again. Whoa. I mean, you could feasibly, now that I'm thinking about it, like, do this endless. Like, you could do this until your thing is... you can do this until your bag is empty. You could just, like, maybe get that lucky. Wow. Don't expect that to happen, but you feasibly could. Our ally in this deck is Sir Tristan Botley, because you are going to reveal 3 or more tokens, and we are never looking at putting him into play. Our curve is pretty short, pretty small, apart from our 3/5 drops, because we have the Eye of Chaos and then 2 Tristan Botleys. However, we're not looking at playing Tristan Botley. We are looking to just put him into play through his reaction ability, which will happen because you have so many things to seal tokens on: enemies, Favor of the Sun, Favor of the Moon, and you can draw from them. That's the thing to remember, is that you can draw from Favor of the Moon, Favor of the Sun, and the enemies due to the title Memento. During a skill test you're performing, when a Chaos token would be revealed from the Chaos bag, resolve a Bless or token sealed on an enemy instead. Wow. Clue getting is our primary goal here. We're not really here to fight, so we have the Newspaper 2, Eye of Chaos to get clues. Look what I found, level 0. This could be the level 2 version very easily. I just, once again, was kind of just being conscious of the experience level for the deck. So that's why we have the level 0 version here, but this easily could be the level 2. This was just to keep my theory crafting with some limitations in mind, just to make sure like there was a structure to it. And once again, resourceful and sharp vision, they are the best of friends. So going through the deck, a few other things I didn't talk about. The 2 Holy Rosaries are once again here. This is another way to get blessed tokens into the bag while also just like keeping yourself up. The backpack to grab the Eye of Djinn, the Newspaper, the Rosaries, the Amulet, the Track Shoes, which are once again here. We also have the Relic Hunter to have 2 Rosaries or Rosary and an Amulet, and the same plan goes as well, where you can use your Rosaries until you don't need them and then replace one of them with your Amulet. Our event package is very similar to the Curse deck, because we have the Deep Knowledge, the Faustian Bargain, the Stirring Up Trouble. Those are all really good, even if you're trying to just, like, you're not trying to focus just on cursed things. However, one thing you need to remember, putting all these curse tokens in the bag, if you don't have a way to also get a blessed token, you don't have the benefit of Blasphemous Covenant, so it's just something to be aware of. We have the Lucky, and Lucky's just good, as well as a 1 of Keep Faith, just to put some blessed tokens in if you ever need them, but I don't think it's going to be too necessary, so that's why it's just a 1 of. And then, of course, we have Promise of Power, because what more can you say other than the fact that just Promise of Power is just really good? It's really good. So, that is our 3 deck theory crafts that we did for Parallel Wendy Adams. I think Parallel Wendy Adams is really cool, and I'm very excited to try her out on the channel. Because this was just a theory crafting video, I don't know the best routes exactly where to take Wendy Adams. So if you have any further ideas or further suggestions, please let me know in the comments, because I want to kind of see what else people are thinking for this Investigator, because she looks really cool and I think she is very powerful. Huge thank you to all of our patrons, for everyone watching, and also for everyone who was there last Friday for the live stream where I did this, because it was very helpful to get your guys' perspectives on what else we could do with this character. So thanks for watching, have a good one, and as always, GG's.